Fiscal policy is going to be whatever changes in fiscal policy that
highlighted the importance of fiscal policy.
Fiscal reforms will be focused.
Hi, my name is Farahin. First, I want to explain what is fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is changes in government expenditures or taxes to achieve particular economic goals, such as low unemployment, stable prices, and economic growth.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nabila Adrana binti Muhammad Hairizal. My metric number is 305259. Now, I want to talk about how fiscal policy works. In a country, the government plays a crucial role in managing the economy. One of the key strategies used is fiscal policy, which involves planning the use national financial resources. The government may increase spending or reduce debts to stimulate economic growth. For example, if the government wants to reduce employment, it will invest in development projects to create job opportunities. This increases the circulation of money in the economy, which boosts demand and accelerates economic growth. Additionally, the government can use fiscal policy to control inflation. If the price of goods and services rise too high, the government may reduce spending or increase taxes. This helps lower the amount of money circulating in the economy, reducing demand and stabilizing price. Furthermore, fiscal policy also plays a role in reducing income inequality. Governments can implement progressive taxation, where higher income individuals pay a larger percentage of tax, ensuring fairer wealth distribution. Additionally, social welfare programs funded through fiscal policy help support low-income groups, improving overall economic stability. In conclusion, managing fiscal policy requires careful balance. The government must make strategic decisions to achieve the country's economic goals while ensuring long-term financial sustainability. A well-planned fiscal policy can boost economic growth, control inflation, reduce unemployment, and promote social equity. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Faima Busaina binti Ahmad Faris. My metric number is 306831. So I would like to explain my part, which is the federal budget. Fiscal policy is the manipulation of items in the federal budget. That budget is relevant to our study of macroeconomics. Federal budget, the budget of the federal government, an enormously complicated document up to thousands of pages each year. The federal budget lists in detail all the things the government plans to spend money on and all the sources of government revenues for the coming year. It is the product of a complex interplay of social, political, and economic forces. So I would like to explain about 3 examples of the federal government, which is the number one is the budget in 2012. And second, fiscal policy since 1993, the Clinton, Bush, and Obama administration. And the last one is the federal government debt. So, this table provides a detailed breakdown of the U.S. federal government's receipts and expenditures for 2012. It highlights different sources of revenue, such as personal and corporate income taxes, excise taxes, and social insurance contributions. On the expenditure side, it shows where government spending was allocated, including consumption expenditures, transfer payments, grants to state and local governments, interest payments, and subsidies. A key takeaway from this table is the significant budget deficit. The federal government spent 1,081.6 billion more than it received in revenue. This gives insight into fiscal policy and government priorities at the time, particularly in areas like social insurance and transfer payments, which made up a large portion of expenditures. And this graph tracks federal personal income taxes as a percentage of taxable income from 1993 to the fourth quarter of 2012. So in this graph, we have three key observations. The first one is Clinton administration. Taxes steadily increased, peaking around 2000. And secondly, Bush administration, there were sharp declines, notably around 2001 and 2008, coinciding with economic downturns and tax cuts. And the last one, Obama administration, the percentage initially dropped to its lowest point before starting to rise again. And this graph also visually represents how different US presidents' fiscal policies impact federal personal income tax rates over nearly 2 decades. And the second graph has two important aspects of government spending over different US presidential administration. And the key insight is the blue line one, decline during the Clinton administration, slightly increased during the Bush years, and saw a significant rise during Obama's presidency before tapering off. And the light blue line, which showed a modest increase under Clinton, a steeper rise under Bush, and then a sharp spike during Obama's tenure before stabilizing. Additionally, this graph visually represents how different administrations responded to economic conditions through government spending, whether through direct expenditures or transfer payments to individuals and states. This third graph tracks government spending over time. Federal government consumption expenditures, this percentage generally declined during the Clinton administration, slightly increased during the Bush administration, and then saw a notable rise during the Obama administration before tapering off. And federal transfer payments and grants in aid, this remained relatively steady under Clinton, gradually increased under Bush, and spiked significantly during Obama's presidency before stabilizing. Therefore, this graph illustrates how different administrations adjust government spending, particularly in response to economic changes. So this is the last part from me about the federal government debt. Federal debt, the total amount owed by the federal government, and privately held federal debt, the privately held debt of the US government. And this graph presents the federal government debt as a percentage of GDP from 1993 to 2012. It highlights three distinct periods under different US presidential administration, Clinton, Bush, and Obama. So the first one, Clinton administration, 1993 until 2000. The debt percentage initially rose slightly but then decreased significantly, reaching its lowest point around 2001. And Bush administration, 2001 until 2008, the debt percentage climbed gradually throughout this period. And Obama administration, 2009 until 2012, the debt percentage rose sharply. So the last but not least, this visual representation provides insight into the fluctuations in federal debt relative to GDP, reflecting economic policies, recessions, and financial crises that impact the national debt trajectory.
Hello everyone. Today I would like to explain how demand-side fiscal policy works specifically, how it changes in government spending and taxation, influence aggregate demand in the economy. First, I would like to talk about how government spending and taxes affect aggregate demand. Now let's break it down. Firstly, aggregate demand can be affected by change in consumption, investment, government purchase, and net exports. Any increase or decrease in this component can shift the aggregate demand curve. We can see the graph below where fiscal policy increase aggregate demand, move to the right, and the fiscal policy decrease aggregate demand, move to the left. After that, for example, if the government reduce its spending, aggregate demand will decrease, shifting the eddy curve to the left. On other hand, if the government increase the spending, aggregate demand goes up and the eddy curve shift to the right. Lastly, taxes also play a crucial role. When the government lowers taxes, people and businesses have more money to spend and invest. This increase aggregate demand and shift the eddy curve to the right. But if taxes are increased, consumer then firms spend less, leading to a decrease in an aggregate demand. This shift the eddy curve to the left. In summary, demand-side fiscal policy helps the government manage economic conditions like unemployment or inflation by adjusting spending and taxes to influence the demand for a good and services.
Assalamualaikum. Now I will explain some of the key challenges government face when implementing fiscal policy. Fiscal policy refers to how government manages its spending and taxation to influence the economy. While it plays an important role in economic stability, it's not always easy to execute. Let's look at some common difficulties. First is time lag issue. One major challenge is time lag. When government makes fiscal policy decisions like increasing spending or changing taxes, it takes time to implement. And even after implementation, the effect on the economy aren't immediate. This delay makes it difficult to address urgent economic problems quickly. Second is political constraints. Politics also plays a huge role in fiscal policy. Government officials may prioritize policies that help them get re-elected rather than policies that benefit the economy in the long run. This can lead to decisions that are more about short-term popularity than true economic stability. Number 3 is budget deficit and national debt. Government must balance their budgets carefully. Excessive spending without enough revenue leads to deficits, forcing them to borrow money. If borrowing continues over time, national debt can pile up, limiting future policy options. For challenge number 4 is impact on private sector. High tax or excessive government borrowing can discourage private business from investing. If the government spends too much, it might crowd out private investment, reducing business growth and economic competitiveness. In summary, fiscal policy is a powerful tool, but implementing it successfully comes with many challenges. Time delays, political influence, debt concern, inflation, and global factors all play a role in how effective fiscal policy can be. Understanding these challenges helps us appreciate the complexity of managing a country's economy. That's all from us. Thank you.